overheard, or that he guessed the purport of their whispering, did as he was told. When he was shut out, Mr Haredale turned to John and bade him go on with what he had to say, but not to speak too loud, for there were quick ears yonder. Thus cautioned, Mr Willet, in an oily whisper, recited all that he had heard and said that night, laying particular stress upon his own sagacity, upon his great regard for the family, and upon his solicitude for their peace of mind and happiness. The story moved his auditor much more than he had expected. Mr Haredale often changed his attitude, rose and paced the room, returned again, desired him to repeat, as nearly as he could, the very words that Solomon had used, and gave so many other signs of being disturbed and ill at ease, that even Mr Willet was surprised. "You did quite right," he said at the end of a long conversation, "to bid them keep this story secret. It is a foolish fancy on the part of this weak-brained man, bred in his fears and superstition. But Miss Haredale, though she would know it to be so, would be disturbed by it if it reached her ears. It is too nearly connected with a subject very painful to us all, to be heard with indifference. You were most prudent, and have laid me under a great obligation. I thank you very much." This was equal to John's most sanguine expectations, but he would have preferred Mr Haredale's looking at him when he spoke, as if he really did thank him, to his walking up and down, speaking by fits and starts, often stopping with his eyes fixed on the ground, moving hurriedly on again like one distracted, and seeming almost unconscious of what he said or did. This, however, was his manner, and it was so embarrassing to John that he sat quite passive for a long time, not knowing what to do. At length he rose. Mr Haredale stared at him for a moment as though he had quite forgotten his being present, then shook hands with him and opened the door. Hugh, who was, or feigned to be, fast asleep on the antechamber floor, sprang up on their entrance, and throwing his cloak about him, grasped his stick and lantern, and prepared to descend the stairs. "Stay," said Mr Haredale. "Will this man drink?" "Drink? He'd drink the Thames up, if it was strong enough, sir," replied John Willet. "He'll have something when he gets home. He's better without it now, sir." "Nay, half the distance is done," said Hugh. "What a hard master you are! I should go home the better for one glassful half way. Come." As John made no reply, Mr Haredale brought out a glass of liquor, and gave it to Hugh, who, as he took it in his hand, threw part of it upon the floor. "What do you mean by splashing your drink about a gentleman's house, sir?" said John. "I'm drinking a toast," Hugh rejoined, holding the glass above his head, and fixing his eyes on Mr Haredale's face. "A toast to this house and its master." With that he muttered something to himself, and drank the rest, and setting down the glass, preceded them without another word. John was a good deal scandalized by this observance, but seeing that Mr Haredale took little heed of what Hugh said or did, and that his thoughts were otherwise employed, he offered no apology, and went in silence down the stairs, across the walk, and through the garden gate. They stopped upon the outer side for Hugh to hold the light, while Mr Haredale locked it on the inner, and then John saw with wonder, as he often afterwards related, that he was very pale, and that his face had changed so much, and grown so haggard since their entrance, that he almost seemed another man. They were in the open road again, and John Willet was walking on behind his escort, as he had come, thinking very steadily of what he had just now seen, when Hugh drew him suddenly aside, and almost at the same instant 3 horsemen swept past. The nearest brushed his shoulder even then, who, checking their steeds as suddenly as they could, stood still and waited for their coming up. Chapter 34.